I mean, I just record another meeting now, right? And then I paste both the YouTube videos. So I think for this one, I will probably avoid being, making the same grimace just for time economy, right? But so here we are up again, and I hope everybody's here. Okay, thank you. Sorry for the mess, but I'll post also the other recording for the people who listen. So in these Google Cloud Storage, things are organized by bucket. Okay, so you have a bucket list in the actual sense. And you can create a new buckets. Now, within each one of these buckets, there are several metadata associated, several attributes. So first of all, if I create a new bucket, let's look at how the interface looks like. You need to create a new bucket. I mean, usually I never create my buckets programmatically. I create them manually. When you create them, you can give them a name, and then you have to decide the storage class. So the storage class means essentially how do you want to access these. There are, by and large, 3 or 4 storage classes. One is the standard one, means your data is going to be replicated geographically and is very available. And this is, the most expensive class, but it's also the one that gives you the best guarantees. If you multi-regional, if it's regional, this means the access is even faster, but your data is not geographically replicated. You have to decide whether you go West Coast, East Coast, Europe, Asia, wherever you want. You have less redundancy, but it costs less because they keep one copy of your data. And also, it may be advantageous. In fact, I keep some data in that way because the cost is half the adherence for some of the things that we see here. Then there is nearline and cold line that are essentially magnetic tape, I believe. I don't know, Google doesn't say, but essentially this is a way of either super compressing what you do or I have no idea, but essentially you have a slower access and you're supposed to use those only if you access the material infrequently. If you access the material more than once a month, it will cost you more. Okay, so essentially you pay less for the storage, but more for the access. And so if you, for example, one of the projects that I'm doing is that I'm gathering all the news spread in the US by Twitter, not all the news, okay, but a good fraction of the news. So I'm storing something like 30,000 articles, news articles a day. These I'm putting in nearline because I've been doing it for some time already, and I don't believe I will ever access it very frequently. I think that if I ever decide to access it, I will say, now let's write a paper on articles that are spread and let's look at what happened in the month of September. I will read all the articles of September, process them, store the results somewhere else. That somewhere else, I will read it often. But the articles, I will leave them in nearline to just save money. I don't think I will access them more than once a month. It's not, I don't plan to do random access all the time. Okay, and if I plan, I'll just copy them over, I guess, at some point. Google is going to introduce some automatic freezing, I would call it. They don't call it that way, and Amazon already has it. That is, Google is measuring what is your last access to each data, and when your individual files haven't been accessed for long enough time, they're already individually moved to cold line storage. So to a type of storage where you save money with access or less frequent. You will be able to choose. But essentially, these buckets have a rich semantics, okay, of metadata associated with them to the pricing and latency with which you can access the information. And you have to choose. And so you can create your own bucket. Once you have a bucket, you can put stuff into it. Okay? So that's basically how it works, or how some of it works. And so, and then I answer questions. But so today I want to essentially write a piece of complicated code. I mean, this is I think it's very nice, but it's a little bit complicated in the sense of nice complicated, let's say. So the trivial way of using Google Cloud Storage would be the following. That when you upload an image, you upload the image to my server, and then my server does some other HTTP call to the Google Cloud and stores the information there. Okay? Yeah? Sorry? Something popped up. It's just because, when I do a Zoom video, then it stores it as video that can I upload to YouTube. But thank you. So when so I was saying the weekend way to do it in 2 years would not be necessarily clear, but the sort of simple-minded way of doing it would be that you upload the image to me, to my server, and then I upload it to Google Cloud. Okay, and I don't want to do that because that's bad in various senses. I mean, as a last resort, you can do it. But the problem is that it's again, a lot of computer science is about optimization of resources. And when you have a server that is busy answering a fast-paced HTTP request, that give you pieces of JSON or pieces of HTML, or these pieces that make your web service feel responsive. You do not want also to charge
No, just try it out. Do you have a conflicting class?
If there's a question, wait a moment, okay? Or maybe.
I see.
Wait a moment. Okay. Maybe I should just mute everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, it's over.
Fine. Because it's more fun to mute them individually. No, okay, just kidding. So imagine that while I'm sort of busy with replying with these short JSON requests, he comes and wants to upload these 100 megabyte movie he just made that wants to share with his friends, right? A perfectly legitimate goal, but then that's going to saturate my server bandwidth for the time being. Not only, but my server in the cloud normally does not have a business with a very large RAM. I generally prefer to keep the CPU and RAM balanced. I don't buy a server that has like 13 gigabytes of RAM that was a web request. No? And if you now start showing your videos into my Circus memory, waiting for me to be able to then write it to Google Cloud Storage, that's really not a very thing, right? You're using a lot of my memory that I pay a lot just to store your movie bytes that I will have to do no processing on except the massive Google Cloud Storage. That sounds and easy, yeah? Right. So that's exactly what I want to do. And so the point is that I want users to upload to Google Cloud Storage. And of course, I cannot let users just upload where they want. So the full process looks like something like this. And the user wants to upload an image. It will do a server request. The server that has the credentials to use Google Cloud Storage will say, ha, you want to upload something? Let me come up with an image name. Let me come up with also a signed certificate for you to be able to do the upload to Google Cloud Storage of that particular file to that particular packet. Okay? So essentially, the server will need to be able to sign a request that the user will then be able to do. Because if the request is not signed, I mean, you can also design buckets on Google Cloud that are open to all uploads by anyone, and you still have to pay. But of course, I don't think that's really what you want to do, right? What you want to do is enable people to upload through your service, right? You want to make it invisible to the user where the information goes, and you want to still manage it. So you essentially want to have the server say, you want to upload something, and the server will say, yes, I authorize you to upload a file by this name to this place, and here is the URL that you have to use for the upload. The URL contains a signature. It's a little bit similar to the user signature that we have been using so far for securing access to the XML, to the Ajax endpoints, right? It is similar but different at the same time because this goes to a third party. So our server will give the user browser a assigned URL to perform the upload. The user browser will upload the thing to Google Cloud Storage. And then there is a small glitch, and the small glitch is the following. Google Cloud Storage, once the upload terminates, is not polite enough to tell my server that the upload has succeeded, okay? This is a bit sad. Google originally had another service that they are now scaling out, on which CoreGradle is still based, that it works great, but I don't want to teach you that because it's I think on the way out. But it's called the Blob Store. And Blob Store used to have a way to automatically letting the server know when an upload completes. So CoreGradle knows it in that fashion. Instead, but that's going out of the way. So instead, for this thing, once the upload is complete, your browser will then send another notification to my server saying, hey, I uploaded the file and this is the result of that upload. So that my server at this point will say, hey, I gave you the permission to upload the two roses.jpg. And now you are telling me that you succeeded, so I will be able to add to a database, for example, the location of roses.jpg in Google Cloud Storage, so that other people can look at your roses photograph or something like that. Okay, and so this is the general idea. It doesn't sound very complicated, but there are various moving pieces to it, and I want to go slowly through these various moving pieces because we need to sort of get them all working. Okay. Another one of the difficulties, and this is not a difficulty, but this is a homework actually that I gave last time I taught this class. Maybe that you I may give it again in the future. But essentially, I built a storage service that any one of you could use. I didn't want you to have the value of signing URLs because it seems so simple when I say signing URL. That actually is difficult order to write because it's super difficult order to debug. Because if you sign it wrong, GCS doesn't tell you anything. It just tells you sorry, invalid access, right? And then you need to scratch your head until you figure it out. So it was kind of a pain in the rear end to debug. And so I wanted to just give it to the students. And so what I did is, and what you will see is this. I did a general service so that if you ask it politely, it will give you a signed URL for you to upload to a particular Google Cloud Storage package. Okay? And this has an additional advantage for this class. That so far, you have always seen requests to your own website. I mean, you are serving your website from your, well, in this case, it's mostly local host for 8,000, okay? But you're basically serving the website from one place, and all your AJAX requests also go to that place. And so in this case, actually, the AJAX request doesn't go to your own server. It goes to my cloud server, which I can show you in a short time. So there is a lot to look at. And I take questions, but then I sort of start diving into the server code and then the code that implements the upload service. Questions up to this point? Yeah, I don't know. Nobody claimed that they want one. I mean, I wanted to give an optional one if people want to remedy a bad homework, but I haven't really heard much reaction to that. So I thought that I will at some point circulate essentially a poll to count how many people want to do it. If that is more than a handful, then it makes sense. You know, these people have to commit to both submit and grade it, essentially. So I wanted to make sure that it's not like no, but if there is like 20 or 30 people who want to do it, then I think that might be a good idea. Okay. Now, let me minimize Lourdes. Demute yourself and let me know if there is a question because I have this screen now in front of me to be able to see the questions.
Sure.
So, for homework 4, homework 3, the deadline is over, I guess. No, it's because every time I need the TAs to regrade a small percentage of the homework. About 20% is regraded by the TAs. Okay, and so I need for that to be done before I then complete the complete grades. So I think I'll be while yet. No, I give you a lot of time for the grading. It's not over the Thanksgiving weekend. I think the grades are due Wednesday of the week after Thanksgiving. The submission is next Tuesday. Yes, yes. It was originally it was Friday, and I moved it up to Tuesday to give you more days. Sorry? Yeah, of course. I don't want to have work over Thanksgiving, and I'll mostly be offline. You know, I will be on the mountains. Try to hike because the least I twisted falling from my bike coming to class is not really doing that well. Anyway, so I can work, but I cannot have fun. You know, for me, really bad. So seriously now. So there is a bit of HTML for uploading, but I don't want to go through it. I want to leave you going through it because I think at this point you've seen a lot of this HTML. The only thing I wanted to tell you is how I do the real upload. The real upload is done by this single input line, okay, which works in this way. Is an input tag. So I'm not using the upload zone plugin or how it is called. What was the dropzone.js? Here I'm doing an upload very simply using an input tag, but using JavaScript powering the upload. Okay, so I have an input tag. The magic will all happen in JavaScript. So that's why I don't spend time on the HTML. But here I have an input tag. The type is file. You know, input types, if you look at the documentation, behave in a different way. Sorry, in a different way according to their type. You can have type radio buttons. You can have a type, float or number. Or you can have a type file. And the point about having a file input is that when you click on it, it will enable you to choose a file out of your file system. And the browser will manage this interaction of you picking the file that I'm sure you're familiar with, right? It's what you do every time you need to upload a file, right? And then I'm having something that says the on change is equal to upload file and accept image JPEG. This accept thing for the input is simply, you know that at least if you have a Mac, but I'm sure some Windows, when you have to upload a file, only some files are highlighted, right? And that's because of the accept tag. So if you have a PNG or if you have a .txt or a .py for Python, those will not be highlighted. I only will the browser will be smart enough to sort of try to guide you to choose a file that needs to be a JPEG image. Okay, so if you don't want to restrict, you simply don't have an accept tag. But in this case, I put it. Yeah. Yeah. Then you would have a application slash PDF. You have to look at the MIME type, but you essentially have to put the MIME type of what you want to upload. Okay, and so this is all very normal. And the only thing that I do that connects it to the JavaScript is that when you do select the file, on the on change, when you change an input field, a change means any change. If it was a string, it would mean you add a letter via the keyboard. In this case, it means you have chosen a file. So as soon as you choose a file, I call this function that is called upload file. And this function is where, the fun happens, essentially. It's not terribly complicated fun, but I think it's interesting fun. So let me go through it. Unfortunately, I added a lot of comments to this function because I thought some of you may want to keep it for reference and study it after the thing. Oh, by the way, all this code is available, and I just forgot to point out from the repository, but the code is available and you can download it now from a place that is called Play with Images with underscores. That is the right branch. I will post this information like I do after classes. But if you want to do git checkout play with images, then you will be in the same code branch. Okay, play underscore with underscore images. So this function that will do the following thing. We'll create an image preview to show you what you have selected. It will upload the image, and then it will notify the server by calling another function that the upload has completed. Okay, so these are the three tasks. So let's see how we do it. So the first thing is this. I want to read a file and show you a preview. Now, this sounds trivial, right? Because just about anything when you upload a file shows you a preview, but it's kind of not trivial in a sense. Because normally, when you have an image and you want to show a preview, you have to fetch the image from a URL. And here, we don't have anywhere where to fetch the URL from because your image is not uploaded yet, right? So how do you show essentially an image that cannot be uploaded from anywhere, but because it has been, let's say, ready from a file system, or for example, you could have obtained it via some funny Ajax call, Okay, so in order to do that, there is a trick. I hope I have documentation here on the trick I'm using. Data URLs, yes. Let me just show you this. So you are used to URLs that look like this: HTTP or HTTPS colon slash slash host slash path, right? That's a normal URL, so to call it. But you also have data URLs that essentially encode the data itself in a long string that is a URL. And these have this format. There is data colon instead of HTTP colon. Then there is the media type, which can be image slash JPEG. And then there is the data usually encoded in base 64. So for example, this is oh boy, they don't have an example with an image, but I think I will show you how this looks with an image. Okay, so the trick is this: we can build a data URL by reading the image bytes, encoding them in base 64, attaching to the beginning of it data colon image slash JPEG base 64, and then this stream of image bytes. And so we can synthetically cause an image to appear somewhere in the browser. That's kind of a cool trick to do, and it's a useful one. It's a trick that if you go I think it may look horrible, okay, because I haven't done it in a long time. But if I go to like companies that, for example, let me try to show you. Let me see if I can get in quickly, okay? One second. Slow start. Come on, it should be faster, but the problem is that I have a lot of different feeds of images that need to be computed because of some funny flags that I have. But these are images out of webcams, okay? So how do I get this image here? Okay, so the way this works is that there is some kind of regex request that asks the server, hey, can you please give me the images that are most recent and this and that? And the server basically will reply with a JSON payload that will contain a lot of strings. So these images do not exist as an image, each one with an independent URL. They are stored in other ways. This is incredibly common to do it for this kind of services, right? And so what I'm sending back is these JPEG bytes, base 64 encoded. And then in order to display them here, I wonder if I can do this. I've never done it for this. I'm afraid it can be too complicated, the code. But if it's not too complicated, I can show you how that image element looks like. Oh, look, there's a cat walking there. Let me inspect that element and see if I can. Yeah, you see, this is it. Image source is equal to, and instead of seeing an HTTP address of URL, I'm seeing data image JPEG base 64, and then the rest is the bytes of the image that is base 64 encoded. This is a very handy way, right? Because if you think at it a moment, imagine that I want to serve to you because I'm Twitter or because I'm this site or because I'm anything else like that. I want to serve to you a list of 100 posts, each one of them with a thumbnail. The problem is that normally I cannot put images in JSON responses, right? Because the JSON responses, I mean, they can you can see them as text or strings. You cannot save it as JPEG image. It just doesn't work well. So what they do on the server, you read the images, you encode them in base 64, and then you reduce them to data URLs so that can be sent through with the JSON and very easily. So this is a kind of important trick to know, that you can send data as URLs for images and similar types. So let me resume the inspection of the code, okay? So in order to display the preview, I do this. I create a reader that is a file reader. These are HTML5 features, okay? But now they're supported by all the browsers, so they work uniformly. I create a new file reader object. This file reader object is a helper to be able to read a local file inside your browser. So the idea is that once you pick a file via the input tag, where the browser will give us the permission to read it. This is not true otherwise. Sorry, I have a bit of hiccups. Because of course, otherwise the browser could read the files at random out of the file system. So I'm doing something like this in detail. When this function upload file is called, I get the event. By default in Vue, if you don't say anything, you get the event. The event has a target, which is the input element on which the change happened. And if you read the documentation of input elements, the input.files with 0 is the first file that you selected. And because you can select, I'm assuming that you select only one file, that's the file you have selected, because multiple was not equal to true. So it lets you choose one file, and the 0th file is the file you want, okay? So I have a file, okay? And if the file is not null, because you could have done a change in which I don't know, but I will always want to check, I guess. If you really did drop a file, I create a new reader object, and then I say read the file as a data URL. Now, this is a bit of this, it drives me nuts, but it's the only way to do it in JavaScript. Reading a file is an event that takes time, so I cannot say the obvious. The obvious will be read the file as data URL, and then put the data URL in this image field so we get a preview. But I cannot do that, okay? Because I need to say instead, I create a reader. To the reader, I add an event handler. When the load event happens, which means the event reader has finished actually loading the file in memory, okay, I call this function that sets the image URL of the preview to the reader.result. Okay, it's a bit of this backward thing, right? In JavaScript, whenever you do something that takes time, you have to add a handler for what to do after the thing is done. Okay, the thing that takes time in this case is loading the file. So to this file reader, I add an event handler for the load event, and then I say read as data URL file. When the file is read, this event handler is called and set self.vue.image_url. This is the URL of an image field to the data URL that has been read by the reader. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. And this self.vue image URL is simply because in some place here in the HTML, somewhere, I don't remember where, but is somewhere here. Oh, here. Image vbind source is equal to image. No, this is an example. And I think it was, yeah, I don't know where it is. I think it was part of the whole, no, here. With show image vbinder source is equal to image URL. That's what I did. Okay, I was lost for a moment. So this is part of it. This is generating the preview essentially. Okay, which I thought was an interesting exercise because it was teaching you this notion of the image URL. Now there is this other business instead. So we want to contact my server. So there are three servers involved in this dance. There is the local server in this case, out of which I get this website, fine. But then there is my cloud server, which is running on the Google Cloud, that is acting as the gatekeeper to Google Cloud Storage. And so we want to ask my upload service, please give me a signed URL. This will give us a signed URL, and then we can do the upload. Okay? So this interaction goes as this. I say $.getJSON, so this is a JSON request, and the JSON request is to upload.lucateaching.appspot.com. This is a URL that points to the Luca Teaching application that I have on Google App Engine on the Google Cloud. Okay, and then we describe in another moment how to upload things to Google App Engine because we don't want to go in overflow mode now. We want to follow how to do image upload first. So, but I put up this service at this URL. This URL is there, and I'm calling start uploader get upload URL. So every time you hit this URL, actually, you get. So I wonder if I can oh boy. Every time you go here, this is kind enough that it gives you an upload URL. And in fact, there is no mystery about it. I guess we can just try it, right? So if I go here, this will reply in JSON. Okay, so maybe I should have done inspect and network and oh boy, oh come on. Okay, fine. Just because if I do it this way, you know, and if I do a preview, this shows it to me in a nicer way. So it gives me two URLs, actually, as you can see. One is an access URL. I mean, it returns to me a dictionary with the two elements, an access URL and a signed URL. Okay, and these have, you know, so, some longer thing. I will tell you later how I produce them in detail. Why there are two URLs? Because you need to, when you sign a URL, you are signing in detail what you can do with that URL. And I need to have essentially two URLs signed for two different purposes. One will be signed for you to be able to do a put for the upload, and the other URL will be a URL that is signed in order to allow you to do a get, in order to later display the image that you have uploaded. Okay, so I need two of them, and so I'm replying with the two of them. Okay, so let's go back to see how these are used. It's actually not too complicated. So I do a get JSON, and when I get a reply, the data is you know, the decoded JSON. So I have data that has two fields: assigned URL and access URL. Okay. I don't quite know why I access it with square parentheses rather than dot notation. I sometimes do things out of habit and I forget why. I think I was thinking I was still in Python rather than in you know, JavaScript. I do get confused, but it works. So I get the two URLs, so the put URL and the get URL. I get them. And then, you know, I have this problem. Fine, I have the put URL, but now I have to create a put request for that URL. Okay? Believe it or not, this was the hardest thing to do, but I finally got it to work. Essentially, the problem is this: you cannot use jQuery to do that. You cannot cleanly use jQuery to cause a put URL that Google Cloud Storage will accept. Why? There is no good answer to this why. Okay, basically it's because there is somewhere a screw up. I mean, I cannot put it otherwise, right? But essentially, the people who wrote okay, let me first go through this code and then explain you why it cannot be done in a better, is a simpler way with a $.put, which would be, you know, the human way of doing such a thing, right? I have to create a request using XML HTTP request. This you have never seen it so far because we always did our AJAX request via the jQuery library. The jQuery library is pleasant to use and does a lot of things for you, but it does not do everything, unfortunately. And this is one of the few things I found that it doesn't do well. You know, file upload. I'll tell you later why. Okay. But so I need to create essentially a basic XML HTTP request. This is a prototypical AJAX request to which I can configure pretty much everything because it's the low-level browser object to do a request. Once I have it, I do various things. First of all, I add an event handler. Let's look at it later because, you know, the event handler is something that will happen when the request is done. Rather, the important part is that I open the request via a put to this URL, and I forgot what the tool means. Okay, maybe if I hover on it, it will tell me, but I'm not quite sure. No, it's not telling me. One could look at the documentation. I forgot what is this tool. It's something like, you know, do we have to stream it or not? I have no idea. Once the request is open, I send the file. This is a way to do a simple upload with an AJAX request. When this upload is done, you know, I have this event listener for the load event, and then I call upload complete, and I pass to upload complete the get URL. The idea is this: once the image is uploaded, the put URL, I don't need it anymore, right? I've already put it, but I need to know how to subsequently access the image I've uploaded. And so I needed to store somewhere this get URL, which is the way that for me to get access to that image again. Okay, if I don't do that, I will lose trace of the image, basically, right? And so once I have this get URL, I call this upload complete. I pass it this get URL, and this and here I actually haven't written the code, but I simply log this get URL. And this was part of the homework I assigned 1 year ago that basically said, hey, students, you have to store this get URL somewhere. Imagine that you have a database for blog posts that contain images, right? And then you would have to essentially update your database table by adding to the post information also the URL from its image. That's what they had to do. So I gave them the easy part of the job in a sense, right? But I wanted them to see the code, the full logic. Okay? Now, why do I have to do this crazy stuff? Okay? Of using the XML HTTP request object at low level. Basically, because I need to do two things. One is simple to explain, the other less. The simple thing to explain is that I need to create a streaming request for a file upload. And instead, for some reason, when I was struggling with the jQuery library, whatever I was trying to do, it was trying to send my file as form data or some other type of data. And so I had a really hard time to get it to do what I actually wanted it to do, which is to do a streaming upload of the file with nothing else attached. Okay, so that was a problem number one. Problem number two, however, was much more important and was truly the blocker. And I need to describe it to you in a bit of time. So let me take any question now before I dive into this problem. Okay, so you know that the web is a sort of hodgepodge of just a position of stuff that was invented in different eras and security policies that are invented in a rather ad hoc way and then kind of give you the right effect, but not always, right? So, for example, cookies are always sent to your homepage, to your site. The cookies of your site are always sent to your site, even though the request may be created from another place. There are all these funny behaviors, okay? So one of the things at some point people thought, let's have let's try to have a smart idea and protect web services, and they decided, and which is a stupid idea. I cannot say any other way, in my opinion, at least, because it doesn't protect you from anything, and I will tell you why. Essentially, I may be wrong, but if somebody knows why I'm wrong, then you tell me. Okay? But the fact is this: suppose I put up a general Ajax API in order to talk to anyone. Okay, this is what I did here in order to give you upload URL. The difference is this: normally, the JSON, the Ajax we have done so far is requested to the same server that you requested the page. So imagine this: you're working in a web page, right? And the web page has been originally requested from a place, from a server. Normally, or so far at least, the Ajax requests of this page go to the same server, to the same host, really, to the same host where the page was served. These are called the same origin requests. You load a page from www.facebook.com, you continue to do requests to www.facebook.com. This is called the same origin request. What we are doing here is a other origin request. I always forget the name. I hope it's called an other origin request. Cross origin request. And I have some documentation that I will give you in the website, okay? In the documentation for the class. But a cross origin request is something like this. My website is served by lucadeafaro.com, okay? But then the page you load may do a request to, I don't know, weather.com to get from weather.com a JSON file that describes the weather forecast for the next 5 days. Okay? So assume that somehow weather.com gives me an API key to do this, or Stripe. Stripe was also doing a cross-origin request, right? Because when you enter the credit card information, it wouldn't go back to me, but it would go directly via an Ajax request to stripe.com. Okay, that's another cross-origin request. Somebody had the bright idea to say, let's protect our server from cross-origin requests because they sound certainly suspicious, and so we shall disable them, and we shall disable them in a very complicated way, by the way. So the way they disable them is the following: the browser, when it sees that we are going to do an AJAX request to another site, is supposed to add your domain of origin. So let's do this example with weather.com and delfaro.com, okay? So you loaded the page from delfaro.com. I don't have a weather service, by the way, but imagine it, okay? You loaded the page from delfaro.com, and then the browser sees an AJAX request to weather.com, and it says, let me add to this request to weather.com an origin header that says that this actually comes from delfaro.com. The weather.com service looks, this is a cross-origin request, because it would otherwise not have known, right? The browser had not helpfully told it. So this is a cross-origin request. It comes from delfaro.com. What am I to do? And then, every server has its own set of rules, and it may decide to either not answer or to answer. If it decides to answer, essentially it gives back a header that says that this cross-origin request was accepted, and it gives the content of the request. Okay, and otherwise it creates an error of some kind, okay? Now, why do I claim that this is stupid? The reason I claim that this is stupid is that one can do web requests in a large number of ways, right? Including, for example, using Python, no? And if I had more memory than I do, I could probably do it on the fly. And because I like to do silly things, I will still try. So let's do a request on the fly, no? I can do IPython, okay? I can do import requests, which is the best library for doing HTTP requests from Python, okay? And the problem is that I don't have a lot of memory. But if you allow me, I use a trick, okay? I look up the documentation, requests, Python, I'm sorry. I should know it by heart, but I keep forgetting these things. Okay, so if you ever are in doubt how to do HTTP requests in Python to look at resources, do this. Request.get of the URL, they did. Okay, so R is equal to requests.get of which URL? Actually, of mine, no, just because I know it works, right? So suppose I do this. This does the request, and then I can do r.json. Print r.json, no? Bam, that's the JSON I got back, right? And now the story is that Python couldn't care less about the cross-origin request because it's always a cross-origin request. So Python is not kind enough to tell the server that this is a cross-origin request. The server is none the wiser and will reply. And so whatever protection you might have can be easily defeated. Because if I want to poke weather.com for access and weather.com dares to tell me that this is a cross-origin request, then I say, hey, the hell with it. And I do the request to my own browser, to my own server. My own server does, in Python, a request to weather.com, gets the JSON result and passes to my server. That's easy, no? I mean, there may be things that are protected, but certainly the common use case is not protected. It's just something that becomes an obstacle between your feet when you try to put up services. And so the thing that is sort of difficult to configure is the combination of two things. The first trivial thing is that if you want your cross-origin request to work, you have to ensure that your browser, when it sends out the AJAX request, is kind enough to include this origin header. Because it will check when it will get to the reply from the remote service that your origin header exists and the other header added when your request is authorized exists. So there is a header that is set up, and I can show it to you in the browser, in the web server logs, because this is a server I put on the cloud, so I can actually look at the logs. Let me show you that header in the server logs, so that you can check that it exists. I can go to the logs of App Engine. Actually, they're here. Logging logs. One of the nice things of using App Engine is that it has a superb logging system. So these are my requests, right? And I can click on any of them, and I can look at the HTTP request and I think all the headers. I hope all the headers. Um, I hope, okay. It gives me the cost, the line. Okay, well, maybe I talked too soon. Maybe I just didn't bother. I mean, the headers are there. It's just that I don't know whether I log them. Yeah, that's a bit bad, I guess. So I should have prepared better and did that logging. Yeah, sorry. Okay, fine, I cannot. No, but I can show you from the, sorry, I can show you from here. From here. So let me upload a file after I show you what happens on the network, okay? I want to look at the network tab while I upload an image. So this is the network tab. Okay, and now we keep an eye on it. I say I want to add an image, so I can choose a file. And I have these nice, where did I put them? Web images, they're called. No, there was a better one even, but I cannot find it. Okay, fine. Let me pick one of these. So what do you want? A colander? Yeah. Let's transform ourselves into pasta fire. No, it's too big. Coffee cup. No, they're also too big. You know, I wanted smaller ones. This is okay. They're a bit better. Okay. So I uploaded the rabbit. So you see, I uploaded the data URL. Let's look at the traffic. I uploaded I did a get data URL. Then there is so you cannot do a put immediately because of this cross origin business. And so the request is split into two parts if you read the documentation. In an options part where the browser is asking for authorization, and then in a put request in which the actual upload happens. Okay. This is instead of the data image, so is given to me in the network tab, but it's not a real request. This is my setting of the thumbnail. So let's look at the options request. If I look at it and I look at the headers, you see that in the request headers, there is this origin header that says, hey, the origin is this, which in this case is localhost, because that's where the page was loaded from, okay? And in the reply headers, in the response headers, somewhere, there must be the access control allow headers, and there is somewhere the authorization. Where is it? Access control allow origin, which is star, which means that my server allows cross requests from all possible domains. The browser then, on the way back, my local browser will check that the access control allow origin field and the origin field of the original request match one another and then authorize my put request to go through. Okay, that is the logic that happens. Okay. So the reason I had to use in my code this very low level way of doing the request, which was not actually bad after I realized that this is what I had to use, were twofold. First of all, I had a lot of trouble causing jQuery to add the origin header when the page was loaded from localhost. Don't ask me why. Okay, if when I get on the TCP, is that happening code because the developer one day says, oh, surely that's not what you really want to do. And instead, it may end up being what you want to do when you're developing a website. Okay, they probably thought, oh, surely you don't want to do it because it's not very origin. And you say, yes, and you evaluate your code, right? And that escaped them, I guess. So that was problem number one. And if you search, there are incredibly complicated, maybe not incredibly complicated, but there are ways of trying to correct jQuery in being kind enough to provide an origin header even for when your page is loaded from localhost. This was problem number one. Problem number two was that it was still difficult to convince jQuery to do a clean upload rather than to do a post of a form. So doing a clean upload with the jQuery was not entirely trivial for some other reason. Okay, so these two things combined into making the code with the jQuery essentially impossible to write. And so, I think I spent frankly 4 hours a week. And instead I gave up and I used the low-level request, everything started to work. It's one of these cases in which you think you should have done it earlier. Okay, so this is what is going on in this service. And so I think the catchy part is this cross-origin request. I will put some documentation on it. Okay. Now there are two more pieces that we need to look at. And I don't think we will be able to do them today, okay? But one piece is the following. How do we configure the bucket on the Google Cloud Storage in order to accept also cross-origin requests? This is important because Google Cloud Storage will almost always work in cross-origin requests. Unless you click with your browser directly on one of those files, most of the time, the content will be requested on behalf of some other website, right? I'm developing Flickr.com, but my images are on Google Cloud Storage, and so there will be my page that says Flickr.com/Luca that will load all its images via maybe Ajax requests or any signed requests to Google Cloud Storage. So this is one problem, and the put request is also cross-origin. So I need to configure my Google Cloud Storage buckets to allow cross-origin requests. And I need to produce the signed URLs. Okay, and so these are the things that remain to be done. Do I have enough time? Probably not, right? No, I don't. So this is what where we pick up from next time. Okay, and yeah. Questions on these? Questions on these? Do I go too slowly? Okay, no, I don't know. I never know, but so if you let me know. Any questions on these? Yeah. Yes, so please, to keep this a secret and don't run down my wallet because at some point I may need to delete this packet. I gave people last year to do the homework a pre-selected small set of images that weren't too large for the homework. Okay. Specifically because I wanted them not to put in multi-megabyte images because yes, I do have to pay for the storage. Now the cost of the storage is very small. It's really quite convenient actually. But still, if you upload a terabyte, I might have to pay some. I don't remember what the cost is, but you do have to pay, and you do have to enable billing in order to be able to use Google Cloud Storage. You pay both for storage and for bandwidth and for accesses. In practice, the cost is so negligible that and it has a big advantage. So if you ever wonder, this is a sort of cross suggestion, but if you ever wonder where you can upload stuff so that it's available by URL, and your answer is it should not be Google Drive because Google Drive, in truth, is not available by URL. You cannot do a GET request to Google Drive and Google Drive gives you the file. It expects you to be logged in. Google wants to be logged in when you access Google Drive, even if you just want to download the thing. So, for example, I have a blog in which I post all the GPS trails of hindsight book. And those trails, I put them in Google Cloud Storage because then I can give people the link and they can integrate them in whatever application they like. And if they just do a get to the thread, they get them allowed. So Google Cloud Storage is a really good place where you put stuff that you want to just be available without any signing by just using the HTTP protocol as it was supposed to work. Yes? Sorry? So the branch is, yeah, I forgot. There's something like play with images, right? I will post it, but it's called play with images with underscores. That's a branch. Okay, and there is another branch that I will discuss next time that is instead of the server portion of it that is in charge of signing the URLs. And that we do Monday, I guess. Questions? I'll post it today, that other part, but I want to discuss it Monday. The questions? Yeah?
Once we add functionality to kind of
Homework 4, I phrased it to be independent of homework 3. So if you haven't got, so in a sense, you don't need to repeat the functionality of homework 3 for homework 4. By the way, you would help me if you looked at the grading rubric, because it's always, like a precision job for me to create one. So if you find any mistakes, let me know soon so that I can, fix it and advertise it. Right? It's easier to do that before you submit.
Let's say our functionality for homework 3 something was off.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Not only that doesn't matter, you don't have to fix it. But also, you can also look at other people's code, and it's not considered plagiarism if you look at people code for homework 3 in order to figure out how to do the pieces you missed. You can also remove the faulty functionality so that it's not there between your feet. Yes, so I want the homeworks to be independent.
If we leave it in, can we get dropped off? Because I know some people drop off.
I cannot control how people think, but maybe let me remind people, don't dock people because something that was to be graded for homework 3 doesn't work in homework 4. Keep to the rubric of homework 4. I mean, people, get things wrong and then they learn, right? Which I guess is part of the purpose. Okay. Thank you.